This production is supported using public funding by the National Lottery through Arts Council England. Welcome to another episode of the Bhandwagon Podcast, and today is a guest I'm actually frightened to say the wrong thing to. She is a 3-time national champion, a European silver and gold champion, and is a female Sikh boxer. She's been on the podcast slightly before on an Instagram post, but I think I need to do a bit more of an episode in detail. Welcome to Charan Kaur Dhesi.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming down. I know it's been a bit of a longer trip than usual for one of my guests. So you've been on the train for about 3.5 hours to come down all the way from Hull down to sunny Birmingham. So I really appreciate you taking that time out. And then after this, you've got to go straight back. So that kind of dedication does not go unnoticed, and it's a point for all my other guests and all future guests. No. How's it been then?
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
So I know you had your first professional boxing match just this past weekend. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what's the difference between when you become a professional fighter to an amateur.
So I'd say amateur's a lot different. You're fighting a lot more. There's more of like a fixed routine. It's more about getting experience and just fighting more often. Whereas I think professional, it's you don't fight as often. So the experience from the amateur helps professionally. But yeah.
So it's more of having a more rigid infrastructure around you, a more dedication in terms of what the cause is like. The cause being to become a full-fledged fighter. 24/7.
Professional, it's like I think you get to train more. In professional, you've got more of a fixed routine. Everything's just put in place better.
So the route to becoming a boxer is you see quite a lot of the stories, or if you follow boxing or you're into your kind of sport, they call it the sweet science, from the art of boxing within there. But it's not necessarily a path worn from Punjabis in general, but Punjabi women. How rare and how kind of unique is it for you as an individual in this scene, and as it for in general as well?
So it is quite male dominated. It's not something a Sikh woman would really be doing on a day to day. So I've put everything into it. It's all I live and breathe it. So yeah, just like how some people may choose to be the lawyer, the doctor, I'm going to be different and be the boxer.
So how did that could be a new T-shirt actually, isn't it? How did your family kind of support you in this? Because, as a parent myself, I don't think I'd be kind of encouraging my kids to go down that road, and I'd be kind of like be safe and secure, because that's in my nature.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not though they're going to actually listen to me, but, from a parent's point of view, every time you're going into a ring, there's a very real risk of having significant damage to your health.
Yeah, there is.
And from a parent's point of view, did they try and discourage you in any sort of way?
So no, to be honest, my dad was the one who pushed me into it. He always told me boxing first. Boxing was always first over education, anything. My mum's always been a bit scared, but she's over it now. She's seen that it's my lifestyle. It's what I want to do, and she supports it. Everyone supports me. Yeah. I want you to kind of think about this for a second, which is, what's the few things, or just in your opinion, that when you go into boxing that no one can prepare you for? It's just the feeling before getting in is something that I could never explain to someone. A lot of people say they're boxers and they're just going to hit a bag. But before you get in that ring is a feeling that I just can't explain to no one. The nerves, the adrenaline, everything leading up to the fight, it's something you work so hard for, and then it's on that night you've got to perform, and it's up to you, it's solely up to you to perform. So, yeah.
I just want to come back to this and stuff and start a little bit further back. So let's say, for example, I mean, I do follow boxing, I follow mixed martial arts to a point, and you always hear about when boxers are going into camp. What does that mean in terms of when somebody's going to go into camp? What does that mean for having trainers? What does your routine look like? And then I want you to kind of explain it up until when you walk into the ring on fight night.
Okay, so a fight camp, so you're always training, no matter what. Obviously, when after the fight, you can have like a little rest, but you'll always be training. So fight camp the training's a bit more timed out differently, so it gets more intense as the week goes on, and then when you get like before the fight, it'll slow down a little bit. So you have to taper your strength sessions, your running sessions. So I'd say at the beginning of the fight camp, it'll be more long distance type running, and then when you get in weeks away from the fight, like a few weeks away, it's more fast, explosive, quick footwork, sharp. So yeah.
And then when it comes up to the kind of the week before, like technically on fight night, all the work's been done, whether it's going to work out for you or not. And then from a mentality point of view, I know when we did a little bit of an interview before, and I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, where you were talking about looking at some of the female Sikh warriors in terms of kind of the inspiration. I've just done we've released one as a podcast, a creative, mentally healthy kind of for social media for young girls about becoming strong mentally, having leadership. When you look at that, some of those values, how does that kind of prepare you for when you're trying to calm your nerves down, that mental anxiety? Because knowing that, Mike Tyson said it, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Yeah. So how do you kind of deal with that?
So it is hard mentally. My coach even said it one day. He said it's a 90% mental game, which it is. It really is. When you're training, you're alone. You are quite alone. Like at the end of the day, it is only you that can push yourself. You've got to push yourself to the limits. And before you get in the ring, everything leading up to the ring, it's you and your mindset. You can't be like getting yourself distracted. It's discipline. A lot of it's discipline. So yeah.
Did you ever get close to kind of giving up? Because like, for example, as a critic, somebody could say, well, this ain't a space for kind of girls or brown girls, stereotype. We have that running culturally within that, say, trying to discourage you and doing that.
Mm-hmm. So I've had people say stuff like that, but it's never affected me in that way. When someone says something like that, it actually encourages me. But there has been a point where I was letting distractions get in the way of what I wanted to do, and then I had a little bit of a break for me to
What do you mean by distractions?
So friends, wrong friend groups, college. It's like college was a complete waste of time for me. Shouldn't have gone, wasted 2 years. But I guess I needed it to actually set myself back and realise what I want, and what my purpose in life actually is. And it was always been boxing.
So it's important in terms of where, especially with people like yourself, because I believe you're going to become world champion. I'm heavily invested in your journey, and I can see where it's going. But those little obstacles could sometimes, for somebody with a strong mindset, can be quite dismissive.
Yeah.
But for somebody else, they could be quite important in terms of those kind of challenges. So when you're getting How did you recognise in terms of the sacrifice for maybe changing your friend circle group, or those distractions started to take over? How were you able to kind of recognise those things?
So it was just really simple things like when you're going out with them and you're eating the wrong things and you gain weight, and then you think, oh, why have I gained weight? And then you remember, oh, actually, it's because I've just ate at McDonald's with them. And the one cheat day turns into a week, and then sometimes it's just like even just like staying out late for a little bit longer than what you should be. Like, I'm professional now, so I have a set bedtime. Nothing's going to distract me from my set bedtime now.
What time is that?
10:30.
Oh, that's still pretty. That's not that bad. Then what time do you have to get up?
It depends what day. So, yeah.
So on average?
So like say like this morning 7, which is pretty alright.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's in the
not
middle.
Bad.
But when you want to lie in, can't lie in anymore because I'm always up early. But yeah.
So Gary Neville talked about when I think when he was about 15, 16, he had to make a really big decision around not speaking to, basically disowning all of his friends around him, to sacrifice his career to make it through hard work and dedication. But when he got towards the end of it, he's talked about his slight regret of not having friends around him. So who do you try and get that kind of peer support? Because if you're sacrificing your career now, your kind of friend circles and becoming all this discipline, you still want to have a little bit of that other side to you, you know, your peers.
Yeah, 100%.
How do you get that balance then?
Yeah, so...
or is he just an oddball?
No, so... you 100% need the balance. But it's about not letting the balance overstep its boundaries. Like, I've always been a girl who just likes the one friend. I hadn't really been the type to have like a big friendship group. And I do have just one friend, and it's literally just always me and her. She's so supportive, it's just unreal. And then it's like family as well, they help. But yeah, people that don't really align with what I want to do in life, I just don't let it affect me, because it's happened before and there's no way I'm letting it happen again, especially when I've got everything going for me now. But yeah, I'll still go out. It's not like I'm locking myself in my bedroom just training 24/7. I'll still...
Well, you can't go to a club because you have to be home for bed, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. So it's like on a Sunday, that's like my and her time. I'll go to the Gurdwara, and then after we'll go for a cup of cha and we'll sit in my house and we'll talk about everything. Deload, bang, new week. And that's just the peace I have in life right now. So yeah. It's
really refreshing to hear somebody who's content. You know what I mean? Like, because in your world, you've got to have that kind of focus within it. I think the question I want to ask you is, your boxing is very much a career based on wins and losses.
Yes.
You know, and protecting undefeated streak can be the be all or end all when somebody's kind of promoting you as well. How do you kind of deal with the losses outside of the ring and inside of the ring? Because there's going to be days of when you are sparring and you've had a bad day, or a sparring partner gets the better of you. How do you deal with those kind of knockbacks?
So I take it as experience. If there is, I had plenty of bad spars before coming into the fight that I've just had, but I learned something off every single one of them. I might have gone home crying that night thinking, oh no, what am I doing? Why am I even doing this? But it's all experience, it's learning. I'm young, I've got so much time on my hands. A lot of people rush it, and I'm not in a rush. I know what I want, and it's not going to change. So yeah.
How do you work out your pathway then in this field to know, like, who's the kind of the benchmark to get to? Because I'm not familiar with too many. I heard of kind of Katie Taylor and things like that. Is she the kind of standard, the role model to kind of base yourself on, or is it somebody else?
Well, no, yeah, 100%. I like Clarissa Shields. I think she represents strong women. I like her personality. Yeah, so in boxing you've got to sell yourself a little bit, don't you? So
how hard is that actually? Because it is a bit WWE, isn't it? Like you've got to, if it's not in your nature, you could be kind of quiet. And Katie Taylor's a bit like that, isn't it? She doesn't really stay too. She's not in the kind of the headlines for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. Because that's an hard one because I am shy sometimes, but depends who you're around, doesn't it? Sometimes when it's just me and my friend, you'll see my true personality. I'm a bubbly character, I am, but I can be like quite reserved sometimes.
But you're in a bit of a back and forth right now as well, ain't we? So I know you've just had your first win over the weekend quite comfortably, but has there been any sort of ideas of who you're fighting next, or anybody trying to call you out?
So I don't have anyone that I know I'm going to definitely fight next, but there's people that I'd love to fight. So yeah.
How do you deal with those kind of call outs? Because some of them could be somebody trying to ride on your coattails, or trying to get that kind of promotion the way that you are, or probably know where you're destined to do. So how do you kind of know tactically who do you want to fight and who do you want to kind of not necessarily avoid but maneuver around? So
there's going to be a lot of people have opinions, and you can't stop that at the end of the day. When they have something to say, I'll read it, I'll acknowledge it. If they're worth my time, they are. If they're not, bring it on.
I'm getting quite scared here, actually. Throughout kind of your sporting career, you can obviously get through in terms of injuries and other kind of strains, and that brings a different mental challenge as well. So you did have a serious kind of wrist injury at one stage. Just tell me a little bit about that kind of mental resilience to kind of beat that and get over it. And so ultimately, when you're in the midst of battle, how conscious are you in terms of like you've got an injury and you're trying to avoid it? Because for me, if I'd be kind of almost protected it, because if you're playing football, for example, you've got an injury, you're trying to do everything you're compensating, and that can knock you off your game. But in a sport like yourself, one small mistake can cost you quite severely. How do you kind of compensate for that?
So I think it's definitely a natural instinct, like you said, about the football thing. There's always that little thing at the back of your mind. It's like when I broke my wrist, I was out for 7 months. 7 months I was out for. 2 months I completely stopped everything. Just couldn't do it. Mentally just was like, forget this. Then 7 months I couldn't punch with my hand at all. Then even just getting back into it, it was like sparring, I wasn't throwing it because I was thinking, oh no, what's going to happen? But I think with boxing it's different. It's dangerous. It is a dangerous sport. You're going to get cuts, bruises, black eyes, serious ones. But that's not really something that scares me, to be honest. I'm just
imagining, because you got Mendy on. Is that one of your kind of traditions when you're going on to?
Yeah, it is now. Yeah.
Whenever you're going to fight, you're going to have your Mendy done.
Yeah.
So we were just joking. So if the boxing don't work out, at least you'll be able to get booked for weddings. Yeah. But imagine if you turn up for a wedding with a big black eye. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, that's what I mean, and that's also a downside. But that type of stuff don't bother me. It really doesn't.
It might bother them with photographer, innit?
Yeah, it might do. But yeah.
So you just like, I mean, it's quite fascinating to see how, even when we've had the conversations in terms of how you kind of progressed on within it, and being a role model. I know that's something that you're quite firmly, actively trying to take on, and that's breaking down quite a lot of barriers. Bit of awkward on this question, but what's the kind of one barrier that you're struggling to break down at this moment in time?
So I'd say, well, I'll tell you what. Before my fight, it was self-belief. It's a hard game, and like I said, at the end of the day, it is only you going in there to fight. So it's only you that can sort your mindset out. And I did have a lot of self-doubts before the fight, thinking, is this the path I want to choose after the bad spars, like we've previously mentioned. But honestly, after this fight, it's given me confidence of my ability, because I do fight better than what I spar. So yeah.
How do you then get that balance then of knowing that you're the first champion, or you're this, or you're that? Because you're going to be given quite a lot of labels as well, isn't it? So then I've seen it with other, let's say, Panjabi sport role models, where that might have consumed them up, and people have just listened to the labels and not really paid attention to the work that they do.
Yeah.
How are you finding that relationship?
So, see, that's the thing, when you're calling yourself something, you've got to live to it. I am the first Sikh female professional boxer from the UK. That's crazy. And honestly, the reason why I do it is just so there can be so many more that do it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want us. I just don't think we should fear. We should do new things like this, spark revolutions. So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty deep, that one is, isn't it? So in terms of publicly, then you've got to be very careful in terms of how you kind of operate in that as well.
Yeah.
And having a temperament, and having, when people say the wrong thing, it might end pretty badly for the other person.
Yeah.
How do you have to keep yourself into check in that and manage your emotions? Because we've seen boxers, especially when they kind of retire, really struggle to end their careers and go on for too long, but also get themselves in trouble for the wrong headlines.
Yeah.
Who's that person then who keeps you in check to keep your mind in balance? And then are you already at the beginning of your career thinking what your legacy is going to be and what you're going to do after?
So that's what I always just do to remind myself. When I very first turned professional, which wasn't even that long ago, to be honest, about 2 months ago, I've got that label now. I'm professional. I've got when I go out, I don't just represent myself. I represent my family, my parents, who they've raised me to be. And I've always, even before boxing, I always was that girl to present myself as a woman, because I am. So yeah.
And then that comes with a lot of sacrifice, that we discussed it. But was there, if you weren't a boxer, what do you think your career would have been?
So do you know what? I get asked this a lot, but a nursery teacher, if I'm all honest with you, because I love working with kids. I love like, so sometimes when you go to the Godwara and you see little kids, they'll always come up to me and start playing with me and giving me the little animals to play with and stuff. Yeah, I love helping people. So yeah. So
in the boxing world now, you've seen Turki Al-Sheikh, who's kind of revolutionised or modernised and bringing people together as well.
Yeah.
when you're seeing this new kind of energy that's come into the boxing world, what do you think the state of the game is at the moment, and where do you think it can go?
I think it's only getting better and better, if I'm all honest with you. There's more exciting fights happening, and especially for women's boxing, I think it's definitely on the rise, and I think there's going to be a few changes with women's boxing and men's boxing, because so men's is 3 minutes, isn't it, and women's is only 2, but I think that's going to change. Fingers crossed it does.
Oh, so you want that?
I want the change, yeah, I do. I think it suits my style more, and at the end of the day, I just think that's what's right. It shouldn't be 3 minutes men's and 2 minutes women's. I don't think it's right.
Yeah, I went to my first big super fight. I went to Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn fight, and the atmosphere was crazy. It was really, and if that's the only boxing fight that I ever go to on that scale, I'm pretty happy, because it was unbelievable around it. What I did notice was in the fight, when Conor Benn was coming in, just to see the sheer amount of people in there, I think it took him off guard.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with the actual fight. It's actually dealing with the preparations before and after around it. As you kind of get bigger and bigger, are you conscious of knowing that audience are going to get bigger, I'm going to get more attention? That brings unwarranted kind of more interviews, more things, hopefully more like this and that, because it gives you kind of more exposure.
Yeah.
But you've always got to come up with something creative. And sometimes people take on a character, in order to kind of sell fights and do the promotion. Do you see yourself one day, for the art of promotion, doing something like that, or is it just going to be kind of the way you are?
So do you know what? I think I'm a character within itself, so I don't need to put anything on. And the more exposure I get, the more I'll unleash it, I guess. Okay. So just sort of a bit of quick fire round, really. Who do you think is the best male boxer at the moment? Kind of heavyweight, middleweight, lightweight, whoever you want to say. You could give a few in each weight division. So I think there's a lot of up and coming, to be quite honest with you. I like, who do I like? I've always liked Canelo, 100%. Who else? The Conor Benn fight was sick, but I was Chris Eubank all the way. I was.
Yeah. What was the one thing that I wanted Eubank to win for just nostalgic reasons and stuff from that one, but Conor Benn got a lot of respect out from it, and from ringside we all thought that Conor Benn had won.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was just from being there and just seeing it from that side, we were shocked that it went the other way. But then when you watch it back, you can see that around. Did you? What was the things that you kind of picked out of that fight that really surprised you?
So, do you know what? It was like the footwork between them both, because they were both. Chris looked miles bigger than him, and to see both their styles, it was the footwork for me. I was just like, whoa, that's happening. I think it was a good fight, yeah.
And so is it Canelo Crawford? Is that booked? Who do you reckon? Because that's a really tough fight to get.
I don't know. It's an hard one.
In terms of your next sort of stages and your fights, how many fights do you kind of like plan out for a year to do, especially at a stage where you're first starting out in your professional career?
So, in the long run, I'm not in a hurry, but I do want as many fights as I can get right now, just purely for the experience. Because all these like shorter rounds will lead up to the longer rounds. So hopefully I can get out a few more times this year, which I will, yeah.
And it's really important at this stage because the women's boxing is not as kind of as lucrative as the male counterparts, and especially for somebody like you who's just starting out, you're going to need that kind of financial support as well within there. How responsive has investments and sponsors been to you, and are you still looking for more?
So I don't actually have any sponsors.
You don't?
No, I don't have none.
Okay, so firstly, if you're interested in a future world champion, get in contact with Charan on Instagram or whatever, and get yourself involved, because I'm telling you, this could be the best return of investment you can never have.
100%. So everything's just come out from my parents' pocket, to be honest. They've never made me work, because they've just said to me, all you need to focus about is the training and putting in the effort, and that's all I've ever done. And they've backed me all the way till this fight, and they still will, but we definitely need support, because it only gets bigger. So yeah,
that's quite like, it's kind of, I don't know, I feel so proud in terms of, like, you know, in terms of how your parents have backed you and done it, and that brings its own pressure as well, because you always want to repay them as well.
Yeah.
But you know that the next level, you need to get that financial support to get to where you're at. And when you see some money, especially in the community, being mismanaged or just terrible, I think for a worthy cause, and in terms of what you're doing, I can see, like, this makes so much logical sense, and the opportunity that if we don't support you in that, it could be lost as well.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a real difficult one to get through. So how do you then you got an agent as well, and a coach as well,
I've got a manager,
and a manager.
Yeah.
You know, how hard is it for them to keep motivating you, and vice versa, to make sure you get that side of things right?
So my amateur coach especially as well, we've just been trying to push it, trying to get my name out there. This fight has got me a lot of exposure, which hopefully it reaches the right person, and they think, oh yeah, we're going to do
so
something.
So you're after clothing, drinks, anything just to get you, to get around.
Literally, yeah.
I mean, I can help you as much as I can in terms of this platform around, and we'll always support you and stuff and that. But, you know, for what you're doing at such a young age, to have that confidence to go in there, especially in a sport which is, you know, we don't have to live it, but, you know, you're there putting in the hard work.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. You know, it's class, to be honest with you. We talked a little bit about legacy and looking at the new generation that's coming through. Have you seen prospects that, especially within our own community, that could take it to another level?
Yeah, so there is a few. I don't know them personally, but I've just seen them on, like, social media and stuff. A few up and coming. There's a few that message me all the time. Sometimes when I go to some networking events, they'll ask me, they'll be like, how do I train for this? And that's honestly what I do it for. I had a message, a girl was asking me if I could come train with her for a day, and I was like, straight on it. I was like, yes, that's what I'm here for to help them, sparring, pad work, anything, even if it's just a talk. I want them to know that they're not alone and they can do it. So yeah.
And bit of a curveball one, but would you ever consider going into MMA at some stage?
No. I like my face.
That is such a bizarre thing to say, considering
because it's like, that's like elbows and stuff, in it.
Yeah, but your opponent is concentrating on punching you in your face predominantly.
Yeah, I can do with a punch.
At least with MMA, they can get you into a lock.
Nah, none of that. None of that.
So let's kill that dream. Let me give you some advice. Always just say yeah, just in case you might get some. Someone might offer you.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, so you will do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just going to kind of close it off in this bit and stuff, because I'm sure in the future we're going to do this again and bring back a belt of some form, and a proper belt, not something you can get from India, fake made.
Good idea.
This is the bandwagon. This is a space where you can either jump on or jump off a bandwagon. Is there anything that you want to get off your chest that you feel like you need to cover, or you need to just kind of say this is your space to do so?
For other people, just to motivate other people.
Whatever you want to say. Any topic area, anything. It could be random as you like.
Do you know what? Let's make it motivational. So I once got told this thing where everyone has a purpose in life, and it's something that you have to find, and only you can find it. A lot of people, everyone gets to an age where they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I was at that point, I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Do I do this? Do I do this? But it's about finding that purpose and pursuing it. And one thing I'm really big on is you can do anything you put your mind to. Absolutely anything. So it's just, I just want people to follow what they want to do. And break stereotypes. I honestly could not care what anyone thinks about my boxing. I'm going to do it, it's not going to stop me. And I think everyone else should be the same. So, yeah.
Oh, that's actually brilliant, that is. And you know what, the other thing I was going to say was, when you see the amount of people who are resharing your posts on there and seeing how brilliant it was, like, was there anything that you've seen? Because that can act as motivation for you in that as well. Yeah, was there any particular post or anyone that stood out for you from the weekend?
Honestly, it was just everyone, to be honest. Jazzy B, because I used his walkout song, and I was like, oh, it's reaching people now. But honestly, a massive thank you to everyone, because it was just seeing it, it's just like, whoa, it's something different. It's like, that's me, you know. Some girl from Hull, that's me. But yeah. Well,
as always, like I've said before, we're going to be here kind of supporting you all the way. If anybody wants to kind of get in contact, we'll happily facilitate and give details and that. But I'm telling you, future world champion, amazing. And you know, for what you're doing and being that role model, it's not always easy breaking down those barriers and stuff. But hopefully, what you're doing is laying the foundations and the pathway for the next gen and that. And you know, your legacy will already be made like that wherever your career will go, whether it's successful or not. You took the first step, so well done.
Thank you.
See you later. How'd you find that?
Yeah, it was good.
Those with that